All right, so today we're going to be talking about dividing exponents. So when we talk about dividing exponents, we're basically just talking about, dividing numbers that have the same base but also have exponents. So, for example, if I had 2 to the third power being divided by 2 to the second power. Okay, again, you can see the rule already because it's right there. But let's see why this actually works. Okay, so let's expand this out. 2 to the third power is the same as saying 2 times 2 times 2, right? And then 2 to the second power is the same as saying 2 times 2. Now when we're dividing and we divide by a number by itself, it would cancel itself out, right? So this 2 would cancel out that 2. And this 2 would cancel out that 2. And I'm left with just 1, 2 on the top there, right? 1, 2 is the same as saying 2 to the first power, right? Or just 2. Now, if we look at subtracting the exponents, that's like saying we always start at the top and take the exponent on the top, subtract it from the one on the bottom. So 3 minus 2 is 1, okay? And that's all you're really doing here. If I had 2 to the third power divided by 2 to the sixth power, that's the same as saying 2 times 2 times 2 over 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? And then if I cancel these out, I'm left with how many 2's on the bottom? It would be 3. So it's on the bottom that they're left, so it would actually equal 1 over 2 to the third power. 1 on top because there's nothing left on top. And again, when you cancel stuff out, it's just like becoming 1. 1 times 1 3 times is still 1. So that's why it becomes 1 on the top. And again, that's all that you're doing with the dividing exponents is, again, you're just subtracting. 3 minus 6 would be like a negative 3, which would go downstairs to become happy, right? So let's look at some examples here of dividing exponents. So let's try number 1 here. So I have 3 divided by 3 to the negative 1. Again, if we think of this as a 1 here, what's 1 minus a negative 1? Well, 1 minus a negative 1 ends up adding, right? So it would become 3 to the second power. And just like when we multiplied, we would need a positive and a negative exponent. So I'm going to get 3 to the second power here. And again, if I think about that, this is unhappy down here, if I moved them up here, it would become multiplying with this 3, right? And it would become positive, which means I would add. So either way you look at it, it's going to become 3 to the second power. But then I also want the negative version, so he's going to go downstairs and become 3 to the negative 2. And there's my 2 answers. Okay, let's try this again. 4 subtract 2 would be 2, so 2 to the second power. And then negative version, 1 over 2 to the negative 2. And there's my answers. Okay, 4 over 3, 4 minus 3 is 1. So I have 8 to the 1 power, or 1 over 8 to the negative 1. That would be my answers. Here's a good one. Negative 4 minus 2. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6, right? So I would have 13 to the negative 6 power, or 1 over 13 to the positive 6 power. Again, if I had moved him downstairs to make him happy, you would multiply with the 2, meaning they would add together. So that is why it would work. 4 minus 4 is 0. Which would just be 1. Okay, 2 over 2 is 0, just be 1. Let's look at some more complicated ones. So let's look at our day 2 stuff. Okay, this time we've got them expanded out. Again, the 6 is going to cancel out one of the other 6's, leaving 3 6's on top, which would be 6 to the third, or 1 over 6 to the negative 3. Okay? let's look at some of these more complicated ones. So let's look at this. So whenever we've got numbers multiplying and dividing, we're going to simplify the multiplying first, then divide. Okay, so we're going to simplify this top down first. So 2 times 2 to the 4th times 2 to the 5th. So that'd be like 1 plus 4 plus 5. So 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 5 is 10. So I have 2 to the 10 over 2 to the 2nd. Now I'm going to do the subtraction. So 10 minus 2 is 8. So I have 2 to the 8th power, but then I need the two answers. So 2 to the 8th, move them downstairs, become unhappy, 2 to the negative 8th. And that would be your two answers. Okay, let's do another one of those. So let's look at this one. So I've got 12 to the 8th on the bottom and then this multiplying stuff on top. So again, we're going to start off by simplifying everything on the top. I've got a 12 by itself, so we're going to put a 1 there so I can keep track of it. So I have 1, negative 2, 0, negative 5. So 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1, plus 0 is still negative 1, plus negative 5 is negative 6. So I have 12 to the negative 6 over 12 to the 8th power. So now I subtract negative 6 minus 8. It's going to become 12 to the negative 14 power. So there's one answer, and then that's the negative exponent answer. To make him positive, he goes downstairs, comes 12 to the 14th power, and there's my two answers. Okay, one more. So I've got 11 to the negative 3 on top, and then I've got 3, negative 2, and just an 11, so we're going to put a 1 next to that one. We're going to simplify the multiplying first. So 3 plus negative 2 is 1, plus 1 is 2. So I have 11 to the negative 3 over 11 to the 2nd. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And then make him happy, goes downstairs, 11 to the positive 5. And that would be your two answers.